Good morning. Vanakkam. My dear friend Peter, I call him Peter the Love, and Noni family members, outsiders if any, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I am here mainly because of Peter. I like this man. You know one thing? His body language. He has discipline in life. I am yet to see Peter without the suit and the tie. Except one day I saw Peter without his suit and tie. That was when my wife died. I didn't know how he came to know about it. And we were about to, cremate the body. And Peter appears in my house in Mangalore in a shirt and a trouser. That was my shock because I thought it can't be Peter because Peter is always with the suit. Do you know what it shows? Discipline in life, which we all need to emulate. We ape the West in so many bad things, but we don't get their good things. And one of the good things that you can get from West is discipline. I still appreciate the way, suppose the lecture starts 11:30. The invitation will be, you are invited for the lecture at 11 for 11:30. Which means if you go before 11, the door won't be open. If you go after 11:30, the door will be shut. But we don't have that. We have the IST, Indian Stretchable Time. It goes on and on and on. Pradhan Saab, a very great agricultural scientist, and Tyagarajan Saab, another great researcher in biotechnology, chairman sirs. The topic, actually, I think Ratnam asked me, oh, the topic is very good. How did you choose it? I said, I don't know. They chose it. I came to know about the topic only yesterday when I was in Mysore University for a convocation. This letter came on the email and said, your topic is agriculture and human nutrition. How loved that topic. I wouldn't have thought about it, but I loved that topic. Well, it all started. Nutrition and health was the problem for this universe for the last 4 billion years. The usual biology that you all studied in school and college, which the Mendelian, Darwinian inheritance theory, has all been given up. Neither Mendel was right nor was Darwin right, but the new biology, evolutionary biology, a lot of work is done. We showed that this universe, this what we call the planet Earth, was inhabited by germs for 2 billion years, the first 2 billion years. Actually, if you observe the world, Mars, Moon, they're all inhabited by germs only to begin with. Now these germs were like us, hating each other, fighting one another, trying to undercut somebody, backbite somebody, etc., etc. And they found quickly, nearly 1 billion years they found, this only destroys them. As Gandhiji said, if you have an eye for an eye philosophy, at the end there will be no people, all will be blind. So the germs said, to survive, we must love one another and we must provide for others. And that was the biggest agricultural laboratory they started, which no scientist worth this salt can do that. What did they do? They used carbon dioxide, they used water vapor and the sun's energy to make chlorophyll, the green leaf, which is the basis of all life on this planet even today. You may say, no, I am a non-vegetarian, I couldn't care less for the green leaf. You are a non-vegetarian thanks to the green leaf. Somebody will say, oh no, I am in Chennai, I will only live on fish. The big fish eats the small fish. Small fish eats the smaller fish. The smallest fish eats plankton, which is a green leaf. So without green leaf, nothing. Only thing is, if you are a non-vegetarian, you are very expensive because you require a lot of area for the animal to be raised before you eat it. So it is not a very economical proposition. In this world where money is ruling the roost, I think non-vegetarian food is not a good idea. Let us not go into that. Anyway, that's not our concern today. What happened to the world then? So we had nutrition at that time. But the germs had another problem. They had used up all the exhaled carbon dioxide and they produced a universe full of oxygen. and oxygen poisoning was killing them left, right and center. And that has taught we doctors today a lesson that oxygen is dangerous. You would have seen some years ago, when you were young probably, when you go to a movie, anybody gets a heart attack in the cinema, the first thing is given some oxygen, right? That's what we used to do for nearly 50 years and killed millions of people. When you get a heart attack, you do not require oxygen because oxygen will kill the heart further. Oxygen is a poison. What you require is hypoxia. And our rishis and our ancestors knew about it. You know, up in the Himalayas, people live 120 years, 130 years. Hunzrus in Uzbekistan, Russia. A lot of these people who live in high altitude live long because high altitude is very little oxygen. You and I live in Chennai, 100% oxygen, and we didn't live that long. And if you know yoga, there's a beautiful way of how to give intermittent hypoxia to your heart. There's a particular yoga technique. I am not going into that now, but I'm telling you, if you want to know, it's very easy to give your heart less oxygen, Peter. So, oxygen poisoning, like for example, we used to, all premature children, as soon as they're born, we used to give them oxygen. And now all these children have become blind because it destroys the retina. So now we have learned, but our ancestors, the germs, knew about it long, long ago. So then the germs did something else, and that's very important. Listen very carefully. They said, Paropakarartham idam shariram. We must help others. Do you know what they did? They donated a DNA, and made the first nucleated cell, which is called the zygote, that you and I wear in our mother's womb. So you are not monkeys to have become man, like Darwin's theory. Survival of the fittest. There is nothing survival of the fittest actually. If supposing I were a fish, why would I want to be a bird? Supposing I am a fish, very easy to move about. Buoyancy will keep you up. You just move about. You have only one circulation, no lungs. So you have no pulmonary circulation. So no pulmonary hypertension, no TB, no operation, the lung, nothing, no lung at all. And the gills will do that. And why would you want to be a bird? So we have not been fishes and then snakes and then birds and then become man. Supposing we were snakes, let us say. Why would I want to be a man? Snake is very lucky. The snake has no coronary artery at all. Snake can suck the blood to the muscle directly through holes in the endocardium. So each time the heart contracts, the blood goes out of the muscle. Each time it relaxes, blood comes into the muscle. That is what we do in total myocardial infarction. If you have a very bad coronary artery disease, what we do is we make laser holes in the endocardium and leave it like that. So you become a snake. Now why would you want to be a man if you are a snake? So all that is wrong. I would like you to read this lady who has done a lot of work, almost a lifetime's work on evolutionary biology. Her name is Elisabeth Sahtouris. Elisabeth, P-E-T. And Sahtouris, S-A-H-T-O-U-R-I-S. And she has done an enormous amount of work. And she has shown so beautifully that it is because of the generosity of the germs, our ancestors, that we are here. So what does it show? That our life here must be to help others. Not as an obligation. You have to do that because you are here because of someone else's largesse. Did you get that now? So it makes a lot of sense to say, Paropakarartham idam shariram. And from the medical point of view, let me tell you, each time you try to help someone, your health improves. Your blood pressure comes down, your heart improves, your sugar comes down, your cholesterol comes down. Cholesterol is good now, anyway. You know, this is how science goes in the West. It goes in circles. Where there is money, there's new science there. Where there's no money, the science disappears. So science is all money in the West. But our science is not like that. So what happened? You and I became what we are because of germs. Then we needed to eat. We can't eat only chlorophyll. So we needed to eat and we started agriculture. When we started living initially in the river banks, because rivers were the road. There were no roads those days. So river banks, and we called society, and we had large groups. But remember, human body in the new evolutionary biology is a colony of human beings. You are one cell to begin with in the mother's womb, the zygote. Now you are 120 trillion cells, and each cell is a human being. Each cell in your body can think, can eat, can digest, can excrete, then sleep and do everything. So human body is a colony of 120 trillion cells and each one of them need food. Now how do we get that food? Nature has provided enough. But in our quest for making more money in our social life, we started hating each other and making money. When money got into the human life, the life got destroyed. Did you know that? You know, industrialization today, everybody is in industry. The first industry started in 1802 in England, to be precise. And when this industry started, there was this thinking poet, a romantic English poet called William Wordsworth. He wrote a poem called "The World is Too Much With Us." Fascinating poem. I'll give you 4 lines. The world is too much with us, late and soon. Getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Just imagine, what are we doing? Getting and spending. Then if you don't get, you get by devious means. Spending, you enjoy life in every way you can. Then what is it? Little do we see in nature that is ours. We have sold our soul to the devil, a sordid boon. There's a nice scientific study called the failure of scientific medicine, the Innu community study. The Innus were aboriginal off the coast of Saskatchewan, and they were in the small islands, completely cut off from what you and I think of civilization. Up until 1732, Innus recorded history on the rocks, on the leaves, etc. says Innus had no disease at all. No disease at all. They died of old age and predation. 100 years, 120 years, a tiger ate you or a snake bit you. Otherwise, you just simply live on. 1732, a Western Canadian company, barter company called Williams Company came to Innu land. They started a company and said, you give your hide and I will give you a biscuit. I'll give you soap. I'll give you shirt. I'll give you pant, and so on and so forth. Then started the problem. Today, Innu is a Canadian citizen with all the rights of a Caucasian Canadian. And Innus have every conceivable disease from common cold to cancer, 10 years precocious compared to the Canadian Caucasians. Which means money brought disease. Today in the field of nutrition, we have 2 very important diseases. One is malnutrition, which I call as nutritional immune deficiency syndrome. I have named it as NIDS. You're all very fond of AIDS, no? AIDS only affects about 30 million people in this world, and AIDS is not due to HIV. That's just to make money, we have connected the two. Don't worry about that. NIDS, even doctors don't know. India is the home for the largest number of NIDS patients. 47 million children suffer from malnutrition. But that's basically calorie subnutrition. Calorie protein subnutrition. But in the West, we have another kind of malnutrition. Malnutrition, M-A-L-L nutrition. That is eating what is sold in the mall. The food which is pre-cooked, pre-prepared and junk food as we call it. And that produces more diseases than subnutrition. So we have to have a solution for both this. And that is where medicine or disease, human life and nutrition come into play. The world is starving. We have 47 million malnourished children in India. Sub-Saharan Africa put together has 42 million. And even in America there are children who are undernourished. In Russia there are a lot of children who are undernourished. East Europe you must see, poverty is rampant. Which means it's not a question of only poor countries, so-called poor countries in the olden days or what called developing countries doing that. Even developed countries have that. Because in America what happens is they eat too much of junk food and too much of calories and too much of fat and do too little physical exercise. And they all suffer from food. That is extra food. So there are 2 kinds. No food for us, more food for them. And if you can exchange and give enough for us and eat less there, the whole world will be happy. This is called cooperation. That's what the germs taught us. India was not doing well. Time was when we went with a begging bowl to America for PL 480 wheat. America was very happy because they were giving and we were begging. Then we had a very sensible Minister of Agriculture in India, late C. Subramaniam, a brilliant brain. And he wanted to have independent food policy for India. He was the one who started our own food policy. But unfortunately, he was not a scientist in the true sense, in the distorted sense of the word. And he had scientific advisors who were not scientists but Sarkari scientists. What are the Sarkari scientists? They hang on to politicians, go up the ladder, occupy all the important posts, and at the fag end of the year, they want to be either in WHO, FAO, ILO, ABCDO, and retire with a fat dollar pension. So they were the payroll of the industry in the West. Would you believe there are doctors, my profession, I am ashamed to say, in India, who are on the payroll of the Western drug companies? Chennai, there are a group of mafia fellows. Bombay, Delhi, you name them, they have. What do? They work for those companies here. They say, oh, there is an epidemic of diabetes in India. It is going to be the diabetic capital of India. You read it every day in your papers when you open the, right, no? But the truth is, India would be the ideal country to live if you don't want to have diabetes in the next 50 years according to the WHO's true statistics. The death rate due to diabetes in India in the next 50 years will be 30%, whereas in America it will be 90%, 90%. But why, how we produce this diabetes research? Research is very simple. You can actually, epidemiologists produce epidemics. Did you know that? You didn't know? You didn't know. Young lady is laughing. Young lady, read this editorial in the Lancet. Do epidemiologists produce epidemics? I'll tell you as I go along how it happens. But how we do diabetes business? Or Villivakkam, let us say, or Nungambakam. So the two scientists who are paid by the American companies, they say, we are doing a survey of diabetes in Villivakkam. They frighten people. You know, you may be diabetic, we'll take your blood. Now when you frighten somebody, do you know what happens to your blood sugar? It goes up. Because we were all hunter-gatherers in the forest. And nature in its wisdom, because scientists don't like the word God, so I don't mention God. Nature in its wisdom gave us a new system called the autonomic nervous system. What does it do? You see a tiger and you have to run away from the tiger if you want to save yourself, right? If you can. So to run you require glucose. So those days like P.T. Usha, they didn't have glucosate in the forest. So nature said, okay, I will provide glucose. What do? We have gunny bags of glucose in the liver called glycogen. And this is stimulated with the sympathetic nervous system releasing the adrenaline. And when adrenaline comes into the blood, it directly goes to the liver and releases glucose from the gunny bags of glycogen, which is called neoglucogenesis. Doctors mug it up. It simply means neo is new, glucose is glucose, genesis is born. So new glucose. So your blood sugar goes up. But you have to run, no? When you run, the blood sugar comes down. But today what has happened, we are in society, same society, only 10,000 odd years, so we are not mutated enough. So today we have human tigers in society. Human tigers. Your husband may be a tiger, your wife may be a tiger, your boss may be a tiger, your assistant may be a tiger, your driver may be a tiger, anybody can be a tiger. So if you look at these people, same tiger reaction in the forest will come. Adrenaline comes, your sugar goes up. Now, here the difference is, you can't run away from the tiger. Can you run away from your wife? Or can you run away from your husband? So this raised sugar remains high and then you become a diabetic. Same story about blood pressure. If you want to run in the forest, your pressure must go up. So adrenaline will produce vasoconstriction, cardiac output and peripheral resistance together becomes higher blood pressure. Same thing happens today. Every IT boy or IT girl, they have tension, the deadline, and they work like dogs. And then what happens? Blood pressure start going up. They see this tiger, in the computer. They can't run away from the computer because they want money. I had a boy, I saw him recently here, who was a Ranji Trophy cricket player in Karnataka, in Chennai, about 10 years ago. Of course, he's short, he is 5'3", and he was only 35 kilos. Today he is a big man in the IT industry in Singapore. He's 94 kilos, 94 kilos. And he is like a big pumpkin. And his blood pressure is in the skies, his sugar is somewhere in the skies, and his cholesterol has gone beyond the estimating level. And he came to me with a thick file from the National University Hospital in Singapore. And he came and said, sat there and said, I said, what's your problem? It's all there, sir. I said, where? I have paid, so much. I said, I haven't stopped treating reports. I'm treating human beings. So what's your problem? Let's talk, I told him. Then I asked him one question. What do you eat? Nutrition. He said, time. Where is the time, sir? I'm the group manager. I have no time. Well, I know it doesn't matter. I take about 20 tins of Diet Coke because I don't want to put on weight. Diet Coke. And then what do you want? Some hot dogs and cold dogs and things like that and just finish off. When do you sleep? Well, we can't sleep, sir. You don't know our timings. We're not like doctors. Our timings are such. I managed to get about 2 hours sleep, here and there. Then what is the exercise? Exercise is sitting there in the chair and looking at the computer. So I told him, you want to be well? Yes, sir. I've seen so many doctors all over the world. Then why did you come here? Then somebody said there is a fool called Hegde in somewhere, and so go into it. So I told him, I'll treat you, provided you leave your job. Suddenly the boy had a shock. He said, sir, do you know my salary? I said, I don't want to know, because I'll be jealous. I said, you want money or health? He thought for a while. I said, look, you earn all this money for another maybe 10 years, at which time you will have to spend all this money to get back your health, which you will not get back. Because we have a misconception. What is there? The doctors are there, the hospitals are there, bypass surgery is there, the medicines are there. Anything can be all right. None of these people, including the doctors, can help you. Actually, you don't know the secret. The leading cause of death in the world is the medical profession. You didn't know this? Yeah. So we come back to the problem of nutrition, which is that you eat the wrong kind of food and wrong kind of drinks. Now what did we do with after the PL 480? These scientists, along with the Western companies, advised C. Subramaniam that we should have fertilizer-based, pesticide-based agriculture. This was the biggest mistake that we could have done. And this has killed our country. Today, you would be surprised. In America is feeling the pinch now. A newborn baby in America, recently, the cord blood contained 240 banned chemicals. 240 banned chemicals. And all the diseases, including cancer, come from this. And all the chemicals are banned, but they are not being strictly implemented. You have simple things, like for example, these girls use lipstick, right? Lipstick contains a pro-estrogen that if you use lipstick every day, now the Western women's breast size has increased 1 size in 10 years. And this is the important cause of breast cancer. You go on spraying all those things, those, what is it called? Another? Body lotion. Hush, this, gas, and so many things are there on the television. Why do you want to have a spray? We take bath, no? West, they want to have a spray because they don't take bath. From November to March, they don't take bath at all because they can't take bath. That too, when I was a student, we used to see these patients coming to the hospital, you want to examine them, they take off their dress, the whole place stinks and your intestines come into your mouth. That is the kind, they need spray. Why do we need spray? I just don't know. And these have very bad chemicals which produce cancer. So we say we don't want cancer, and the cancer is increasing, but we are happy that cancer is increasing because cancer is the biggest industry. $1.72 trillion industry. Nobody wants to ban anything. Has any government banned tobacco? You would be surprised. When tobacco was connected to cancer for the first 10 years, the companies produced scientists who said smoking is good for health. Even now there are occasional scientists who write that smoking is good for health because if you smoke, you don't get ulcerative colitis. If you smoke, you will be very energetic. And all this kind of rubbish. Because you can twist, after all science is statistics, right? Science is making models, said John von Neumann, which are mathematical constructs, which with verbal jargon are supposed to work. They never work though. Because mathematical constructs themselves are wrong. Now, for example, medical science. You go to a doctor saying that you got chest pain. He says, your ejection fraction of the heart is only 27%. You're very bad, no. What is ejection fraction? Is a linear measurement of the amount of blood pumped out with each cardiac beat. Right? Now this linear mathematics takes Euclidean mathematics, requires only Euclidean structures. Your heart must be either a ball, globe, or a square, or a triangle, or an oblong. But heart is none of these. So you are using a non-linear structure like the heart and applying the linear mathematics in. So difficult to eat good food. Did you know that? You can't eat good food. Bitter gourd is a very good treatment for diabetes because it contains very powerful medicines. But if you eat the bitter gourd that is sold in the market, you will have tons of chemicals sprayed onto them. And I always tell my patients, buy a bitter gourd, have a good toothbrush, have soap, brush it nicely, better than your teeth first. And then put it in salt water at night, overnight. And next day, wash it and rinse it in water 3-4 times. And then take a little potassium permanganate, a thin liquid, dip it in that, and then wash it again. Then cut it, take the seeds out and eat it. Your diabetes is gone. So we can't do that. All because of the wrong policy of our scientists when PL 480 had to be stopped. Now the next policy which is very bad is called genetic engineering, which the West wants to sell. What is genetic engineering? What is science? Science is trying to understand nature. Remember that? What is genetic engineering? Teaching nature a lesson or two, which you can't do. We do genetic engineering in human beings, which cannot be done because human chromosome has only 23,000 human genes and 2.5 trillion germ genes. So you are not your parent's child. We frighten people. Is your father a diabetic? Yes, sir. Then you must be diabetic. Then your sugar goes up. Your father and you have nothing in common except the environment. Lamarckian evolution. If you live in the same environment that your father lived, you eat whatever father has been eating, and you are eaten by the same negative things your father was eaten by. What is that? Krodha, Shoka, Bhaya, Ayasa, hatred, jealousy, anger, pride. I always jokingly tell my patients, it is not what you eat that kills you, it is what eats you that kills you. So if you live in the same environment, you will be like your father. But if you are removed immediately after birth and into another family, you have nothing to do with your father and mother. There is nothing called inheritance, hereditary disease, nothing, absolutely nothing. But then what happens now? We frighten our people. And we frighten them out of their wits and create problems. Genetic engineering is the biggest fraud. You probably know Angelina Jolie is a very famous American actress. Beautiful she was. Poor thing. And we doctors told her, genetic engineering. Your mother's sister had cancer of the breast. So you may like your same gene you have. And you. So what we'll do? We will remove your breast. So there is no cancer at all. So if you have a gene for cancer and remove the breast, it will come in the head. So they first removed her breast. This foolish girl said yes. So once